Aaron. Welcome to Composing with Chandler. We have a fresh-born, single-celled orange cat in frame joining us today on Composing with Chandler, and special guest Cait Leow, who is not here currently, but I am sure she'll be rolling in. Thank you, Ms. Bailey, soon to be Gifford, for presenting us the cat. Co-host Logan Gifford, of course, and Aaron Kozbial here, your boy and friend Skip Marazzi. So,
and then, Mr. Gifford's face as well. For how long, time may tell. Probably not for very long because I'm going to have to help trim some kitten nails here. So.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, he's not for the first time, probably on this podcast, definitely on this podcast, first time anyone's seen his face. Maybe on another one at an earlier time. There's definitely some read-throughs that we have. But so Aaron Kozbial, we talked about this briefly before we got on the show, but I'm excited to hopefully surprise both our guest and our composer. There she is. Welcome to the show, Cait Leow of Cait Leow Music. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am well. You are right on time, which is what I can appreciate about a person, if nothing else. Not just before, or afterwards, but exactly on time. So that is a fine quality to have. So that's what I was guessing you were going to do, and then you did it too. So I'm excited.
That's so funny.
I should have wagered on that. On our show with us are our co-host, Logan Gifford, who's in the upper right-hand corner, Aaron Kozbial, who you know, and Skip Marazzi, which we've never met in person. Or we've never met before. So.
Well, Aaron hasn't seen me since I was a middle schooler, I don't think.
That's what you said. You said you guys go a long ways back. Do you mind sharing your history with each other, just for the record? Because I've only heard stories in passing. So.
Well, we did. Well, I was a young child in theater.
Of course.
He was an old child in theater.
An old child.
And we were in the same shows because of that.
And your brothers were my Oliver.
Yes, when we did Oliver, I was in 6th grade, so I was one of Aaron's Fagan's boys, and my brothers were twins. Fagin.
Okay.
Yes, and then my brothers are twins, and they both played Oliver in the musical Oliver.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yes.
So,
and they were really, really good. They were only like 9 when they did it.
That's awesome. A family of theater nerds. So it runs in the family for both you guys, right? Because your sister also, Erin, is a theater nerd.
Yep. So yeah, my sisters, both of my sisters did theater. Everybody loves musicals in my family.
Is that the same thing with you and your brothers as well? Do they stick with it?
Sorry, everybody's kind of cutting in and out, but yes. My brothers did not stick with it. One of them is an engineer, and the other one works for Duolingo. He's a linguist.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Is he a language specialist or?
Am I on? Am I still here?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, there. Okay.
It might be my connection, which is cutting in and out. I apologize for that. Also, my voice is hoarse AF.
I can't hear anybody. There we go. Oh.
I can hear you.
Skipper's not as velveteen as he usually is tonight. So
if you
I might have to take over some of like the talking points and some of the lines of inquiry as we get deeper into the show. But
Got it.
Honestly, also glad to meet you. I don't know if I'm also here, Logan Gifford. I'm a producer and one of the voice actors for Cox and Space. Yes, ma'am. Glad to meet you. Glad to be a part of this.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes, no, my brothers did not continue their careers in theater.
So then all that energy went to you then?
I guess. I mean, I got a degree in theater, and then I lived in Los Angeles for 8 years.
Wow. How was that for you?
Trying to do the thing. It was great. It was really fun. I was somebody who was like, holy shit, get me out of Toledo, Ohio. By all means necessary.
Yeah.
And then I loved living out there, but when COVID happened and everything shut down and I was going to have to start over, and I was living by myself in an apartment and going crazy. I was like, I'm just going to go back for a little bit. I'm here.
And they pulled you back in. That's how it happens. You cannot get suckered into that.
I was casting like a Toledo rep show, and it was, easy to get in, and I had a really good time doing it. And I was kind of like, oh, I feel like there are more opportunities around here that I actually get to do instead of waiting tables and walking dogs, and I don't know.
Yeah, I was out there
for plenty of community theaters here.
Yes, oh my God, tons. Too many? I wouldn't say that here.
I would say it on. Yeah, there's a good amount so that theater can exist.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, we got some lovers driving by my house with their music blaring.
That is fantastic. I was out there in LA for a couple of years also, and once I left there,
when were you there?
Let's see, 2012 to 2015, something like that.
Okay, I was there 12 to 20.
Really?
We were there at the same time.
Yeah. I ditched out way earlier than you. I was like, I could not. It was the lack of connection. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I moved into communities. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is actually what I want. You know, I don't want to be like one person fighting the world. That sucks.
Yeah, I got really lucky. The first building I lived in, everybody kind of knew each other and took my roommate and I in as like one of them really quickly after we moved there.
That's
so it was
fantastic.
almost like living in a dorm with a bunch of people in their 20s and 30s.
The next dorm.
It was really fun.
That's awesome.
So we got really lucky.
Yeah, and then good and bad to it, though. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, everybody's in everybody's business for sure.
Oh yeah.
Was everybody also in the industry in that building?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Almost everybody.
Okay, gotcha. They were like, yes, we're connecting.
They were actors or makeup artists or screenwriters or directors or it was good. Like a lot of people tried to make projects in the building. It was really fun. Great experience.
I can see why you stayed.
I got lucky.
I can see why you stayed. That sounds like a really fantastic experience to have, because it's college too, but the career, right?
Right. Exactly. And I was there for 6 years. I lived in that apartment building for 6 years.
Of course. Why would you want to go anywhere else? That's a fantastic place to be. It
was great. It was like Seinfeld.
If you're doing stuff, it feels.
Exactly. You're doing stuff. Your friends' time. It was great. It really did. One of my friends calls it my Seinfeld. Because from down just pop in at any time. It was very funny.
Yeah, that's a Chuck Lorre show just waiting to happen, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, just shout out, you heard it here first, and it is for sale. We'll write it for you, no problem.
We'll write it.
Yeah. That's
we called it the Sebi Crest. So
okay. Ooh. I mean, that's a catchy name.
The Sierra Crest Apartments.
Ooh.
And I will say, just to juxtapose that, like I just recently bought a house in like a regular like subdivision, regular like middle class subdivision. And dude, I don't know any of my neighbors. Like I don't hang out with them. And it's I don't hang
out with my neighbors, but I do know know the names of my neighbors that are in my or like my neighborhood around me. But that's it. Just the two on the side of my back neighbor. I know their names. But it is weird though. I feel like when we were kids, people would play out in the street and like you knew everybody in your neighborhood.
Yeah, like what happened to being cool with one another?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Scared of everything.
Yeah, COVID scared a lot of people. There's a lot of hate running rampant right now in America.
Everyone's so private now,
Yeah. There's also,
and mommy is still very bake for each other, do stuff for each other. Like my parents' little part of mommy is still.
They live right off of like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where like live.
Dude, Aaron, the more you describe
Ross,
your life.
Vince Ross.
Sorry.
Vincent Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm dating his younger brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Phil?
Yeah.
Oh man, I haven't seen Phil since he was really tiny.
He's in my room right now.
Phil.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying, tell me the story how you guys are interconnected, and you're like, oh, it's still going on. It's still a constant thing where we are.
Yes. Mommy.
Yeah. It's very similar to the movie Pleasantville. I've always thought.
See, and that's what I was about to say. Is the more that you describe your life, the more I'm like, no, he's making it up. There's no way they get together for family dinners and just eat and enjoy really good food. You know what I mean? That's not a thing.
Yeah, definitely that happened.
And it wasn't that like in high school it was black and white until you fell in love for the first time, and then everything turned to color, right? That's exactly what happened.
To Vincent's house, and then we would play Magic the Gathering or hang out or.
Yeah, and their parents are like Tina and Dave are, and they are friends with everybody. Everybody gathers around and talk. They watch each other's kids, and it's great. I don't know.
That sounds like a perfect life. I was joking about getting dragged back in, but that actually does sound pretty awesome.
Right? Yeah. No, it is. I like being back near family. It's great.
See, and I will say, calling back to that idea as well, like I feel like as far out as you get, I definitely feel like you always have, as much as whether you like it or not. I like to call them tendrils or tentacles. Eyes. You tend to get pulled back to it because it was, and that's
like go out and you do stuff, and then you come back to where you were at to spawn.
There you go.
See, but then also you speak about salmon and you say, like you make it seem easy that they just go out and do stuff. No, they swim upstream, my boy.
Yeah. I mean, the life of a salmon. It's
which I guess just wraps back around to the idea change is difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I tell my students all the time. It gotta work.
Students, you teach?
I teach American history at Toledo School for the Arts.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
That's amazing.
So yeah, when I moved back here, I went to UT and got a master's in education so that I could become a classroom teacher.
How do you like that?
Awesome. That's really awesome. Do you have any like cool things that you like to tell kids about history that they might not know about?
Oh my God. Okay, my favorite thing is to drop the bomb that FDR and Eleanor Roosevelt were fifth cousins, because the kids all think that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, it's okay. He was fucking their social. Okay, I don't say the F word, obviously. I'm like, he was sleeping with the social secretary, and she was friends with a bunch of lesbians. Wink, wink. And then they all go, like, that's how I teach. History is just hot goss.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Facts.
You drop the bomb.
As soon as you said you were a history
teacher,
too, I was like,
after him drops the bomb.
Yeah, then Truman drops the bomb.
Yeah.
The bomb. Oh my God.
But no, history is just such a fun subject to teach people about, because there's so much of it.
As long as you're a good storyteller, I feel like that's so important. My history education, where Aaron and I went to school, was abysmal. Like, they just showed us movies and read newspapers while they showed us Dances with Wolves. It was
no, that sucks.
Gosh, I love Dances with Wolves, though. That was a good movie.
It's a great movie. I'm not saying it's not a good movie, but I am saying I had already seen it 4 times because it's my dad's favorite movie, so I didn't need to watch it again in my freshman year of high school. Oh my God. I was so annoyed. I was like, can we just learn about this and not watch Kevin Costner, white savior his way across the Plains Indian Wars?
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're like, at least be historically accurate. Yeah.
Ugh. But yeah, I mean, it is a good movie, Tatanka.
Sure.
For life.
Right, for life.
Now think of it. Yeah, they weren't great at history teaching. I mean, World War II, they seemed to know, but anything else was I don't remember much.
Well, even for World War II, we just watched Pearl Harbor.
No.
Did you?
Yes,
no. The Ben Affleck Pearl Harbor?
17 hours Pearl Harbor.
Oh, that.
It's not even a good movie.
The Michael Bay movie?
Yes, the old one, not Midway, like one from the early 2000s with Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett.
Jeez.
What a travesty.
Yeah.
I was so lucky because I was on an orchestra trip for one of the days we were watching that stupid movie.
Oh, you were an orchestra too?
Yes, yeah, I played violin. Yeah.
Okay. I was a bass.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Orchestra. You're both dorks. It's fantastic. Yes. I love the dorkiness. So you said that you just have to like be a storyteller with history. That's kind of like the most important thing.
I don't think that's, I think that's the most important thing when you're teaching teenagers.
Gotcha.
I mean, having a handle on the topics and like being able to make it relevant for youth to want to be interested in is a challenge.
For
especially
sure.
when you have to teach something like the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. Like, who really wants to learn about that?
I mean, I'm curious as to what that is because I have no idea.
Founding document.
I did not learn about that.
Yeah, same.
The Northwest Ordinance of 1787 was the founding principles for the opening up of the Midwest, or it was the West then. So from the Northwest Ordinance, we get Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, and Wisconsin.
Aha.
And the laws like initially banned slavery in these new territories. You had to have a certain number of white people living in the territory before you could apply for statehood.
Yeah.
You had to grid off everything. Anyway, so it was an inspiration for the new Constitution when the new Constitution was being written in 1789.
Gotcha.
Huh,
so have you shown your kids Hamilton?
I do not show them Hamilton. That's 8th grade, but I have to go back over the founding documents at the beginning of their freshman year.
It is important.
And then we jump into industrialization from there. I fast forward to like the 1870s.
That's a cool time. So, Cait, as a history teacher, how do you feel about the fact that we're living through historical events right now?
Because honestly, Skipper, I'm tired of living through these historical events.
There's been one too many in my lifetime.
But I keep hearing on the news that it's
the future,
that's too damn bad.
Where everything's history.
Yeah. Well, okay, so there's a really interesting theory called the fourth turning.
Okay.
And there's a great book I recommend to everybody called The Fourth Turning is Here. Because the fourth turning came out in the 90s, and they basically predicted that something like Trump was going to happen. Like this, like a rise in populism and that kind of stuff. And so The Fourth Turning is Here came out last year, and they were like, see, we were right. And
oh no.
The theory is that history happens in 80 to 100 year saculums.
Okay.
So it happens in these cycles. And if you use just America as an example, you have like the crisis period of the Revolution. If we're just starting with the Revolutionary War, obviously there's a bunch more to America in the preceding like 300 years. But from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War, that's like 80-ish years, 80 to 100 years, right? And then that's your next crisis period. And then that goes into a period like a boom time, like the Gilded Age. And just like after the Revolutionary War, you have like the creation of the country, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you fast forward 80 to 100 years from the Civil War, you have World War II, which changes like the complete everything about the world order, and we emerge as a global superpower. And then there's a boom time after that, and then a period of unrest, like the Civil Rights Movement.
Gotcha.
And then kind of like what we're dealing with now. So that happens in these like, they're called turnings, basically.
Gotcha.
4 turnings per saculum.
Okay. So you're like throwing up your hands, being like, oh yeah, we're going through a crisis like we're supposed to.
Yeah, so basically millennials are a part of what they call the hero generation, and millennials are going to be responsible for cleaning all of this mess up. So
I get that feeling more and more every day. Yeah. I was hanging out with a bunch of older people this last weekend, and they were 60 and 70. And one of my aunts, who's in her 60s, she said, "Look, I'm really sorry that we left this for you, but you're gonna have to take care of it." And she wasn't joking. She was like, "We just got bamboozled. It's all of us got bamboozled together." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I get that, right? Like it's our time to step up and do it."
But it's like there have been people with their eyes open this whole time.
It's not like they didn't know. Yeah.
Money or power. It's not that we didn't know. We've known since the 70s that we were ruining the planet.
Right.
There was an entire cartoon about that.
Right. And
Captain Planet, right?
Yeah.
Captain Planet. And the Cuyahoga River sets on fire. Like, you have rivers setting on fire. Like, people knew that Nixon created the EPA.
Richard Nixon.
Right. He knew it was coming. Right.
Really? Nixon?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I mean, he had
Nixon
a lot of bad things, but Nixon had that.
But environmental policy was not a bipartisan issue. Like, everyone across the board believed that we needed to do something for the planet. And then Reagan took power in the 80s, and it became all about all corporations ruling the planet and making as much money as possible. And so green energy went to the wayside.
Thank you for summing up. I've been saying this to these guys for like months. This is it. Like, Reagan's liberal movement, where just you're a consumer and you need to buy from the machines. That's like your only function in society. Like, had destroyed everything, which is crazy, right?
That was
like
the 80s.
Yeah, that's what we watched happen, and we were like, we were just all like infants, younger, older.
Right.
Like, Logan is a little bit younger than us, and he was like, I wasn't even my parents were in high school at that time,
And I was still a casualty of the war on drugs.
Yeah.
And the opioid
oh my
epidemic.
gosh. Yeah. Well, we're
because we're still living through that, but then also we had the opioid epidemic. I had a knee surgery at 16 and ended up addicted to painkillers by the time I was 18.
Right.
Geez.
So,
and that's just mass consumerism, right? Like, they're trying to sell drugs, and so that's
so don't even get me started on fucking Nancy.
Before we spin off this topic, I'm just going to shout out The Fourth Turning, a series by Neil Howe, and you can get it on Amazon for like $17. So if you guys are interested in reading this book, you should read it.
Support your local libraries.
More importantly, you could probably also get that there, which is good.
The audiobook. I listen to the audiobook on Libby,
Right, and Libby is fantastic because you don't even have to go to the library or interact with people if you're awkward. So, and
it does require like having a library card, though, does it not?
You have to interact with the person one time. Yeah, one time.
So
yes, but you can get one through the
a public library card, and then I can have access to all the audiobooks that I want. Unlike Spotify, that gives you a fucking listening limit, even though I pay $8.99 a month.
Yeah.
Right? It's so dumb.
They offered you a free version at the very beginning.
Ebooks, and it was like, "Oh, you've reached your listening limit. Cut me off mid-sentence."
What?
You've reached your listening limit for this month on audiobook.
Same thing happened to me.
Let's censor information and charge people access to get information, right? Like, that's... Cait, as a historian, I mean, dumbest thing that society has ever done, like paywalled everything, like news, for instance.
I think news
that's really where we are, though. That's the fact.
But like, the news being paywalled is really, like, New York Times or whatever, for example, like, that is. I feel like that's what's brought us to this point, or like part of it. Like, but people stopped reading newspapers, so they had to make money somehow. Like, and people weren't willing to just donate money to read a newspaper online when they could get their news free a bunch of different other ways. But then you have less people reading vetted news sources with people who went to school to become journalists.
That's specifically the fact that I was trying to point out. Yes.
Teams of fact checkers that work on it, and they do corrections when they say something wrong, and because
they don't want to get sued.
Reporters,
right? Yeah.
And you have to pay.
Right. They want to tell the truth. Yeah.
Yes, and they want to tell the truth. Like, that's the point. I mean, obviously, in the history of America, you have a lot of exaggeration and propaganda happening in the media, but
that's what media is for, and there's a second purpose, right?
Right.
Historically speaking, that's the secondary purpose.
I mean, the reason why we went to war with Spain and Cuba was because of yellow journalism and the drumming up of the atrocities that were perpetrated against Cubans that weren't really happening. But America really wanted to go to war. McKinley promised a war, and to stay president, we went to war with Spain.
Sometimes you just got to throw a good war to stay in office,
Yeah, I mean, that's what the American people wanted. McKinley said we'd do it, and he was like, I want to keep being president. So, to war with Spain for 3 months.
So let me pitch this idea to you, because it's been kind of kicking around in my brain. I forget who suggested it first. I'm guessing it's like a Kurt Vonnegut idea, but I couldn't tell you directly where it came from.
Okay.
But the idea that the government is run in 4-year spans by a group of people that's randomly selected from the general populace. The president one day is just some random guy and he sits in office for 4 years. Then 2 years into his term, the Senate's replaced. And then 2 years after that, the House is replaced. And the same thing. And the president sits and it's changed out. What do you think that'd be absolute chaos, or do you think that would work better than what we have? Because no one would be trying to stay in office. You know what I mean? You're not running for office any longer. You're not throwing wars so you can stay in office.
And you're taking all the money out of it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, people in that office would get paid very well, right? It'd be a great thing to be president because you make president's money for 4 years and then you're done, right? You can't get it back because it's a random selection.
Right.
You guys are also welcome to weigh in on this.
How are they randomly selected?
Okay, so this takes...
This is very Jeffersonian of you, by the way. Thomas Jefferson would have loved this.
Really? That's fantastic. I don't know if I have read enough of him.
Really. Actually, not really. If you read into Thomas Jefferson, he was an elitist, racist prick.
I was just going to say, if you read into Thomas Jefferson, you find a lot of like half black, half white kids. Is kind of the thing. I'm sure they were like beautiful children, but yeah, like Thomas Jefferson was not a good slave owner. And a definite
complicated figure.
Yeah, I mean, he did good things too. I'm not saying that's all that he was about, but you just have to look a little bit further than his golden image.
Well, I think that's how history is taught now. I feel like when we were younger, history was taught like there were all these heroes that we had to venerate, and now it's like, no, they are humans that make mistakes just like everybody else.
That's true. Yes, that's fair. That's how it's being taught now.
He's a founder, but he also raped his slaves.
Yeah.
His enslaved people. So yes, he's a brilliant genius who, designed Monticello and the swivel chair.
Okay.
But
not to negate those things.
He also was super racist.
Yeah.
And a white supremacist.
So here's the thought to the answer to your question.
Yeah.
So this is in a not too far future.
What random selection? That's how I'm.
Yeah, in a not too far future, there's actually a sentient AI that is capable of doing it. It's completely unbiased in its selection. It's really just about running some numbers down and picking a random number.
But how is AI unbiased when it's created by biased people?
Oh no, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to go for a sci-fi option. The idea in this hypothetical, because you're right. The information that an AI is trained on at the present course is completely biased because of the information it took in. Everything is that, right? So in this case, it's just a random string of numbers that's run, and there's a random number that's selected that's assigned to you, and then you become president. So there's no human intervention. Like the what?
Like the draft.
Yeah, essentially the draft.
The draft was my birthday.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the idea. It's like if you were just running social security numbers or whatever, when your social security number comes up in the random.
Okay, I have more questions.
There's also
is there a certain age you have to be still? Like, is the Constitution still being respected? As in, like, you have to be 35 or older, you have to be born on American soil. Like, what are
me personally?
Yeah,
I would say lower it to 32. Let's
32.
No, man.
Let's get a little youth
as a person who just recently turned 40. I'm like, I don't know.
The president we've ever had was 45. So like, there's nobody under 40 who's ever been president. So like,
I wouldn't mind a maximum age.
Truly, yes.
And also a good idea.
Yeah, we can implement that. You have to be between 35 and like 65.
Yeah.
If you're older than 65, like, not sorry, dude.
Well, and
if you're retirement age, you can't be.
Yeah.
And why would you want somebody to put someone in that position? You know what I mean? You're gonna put a lot of stress on a 65-year-old man or woman who's taking over the office. They're trying to like juggle a lot of things, and they're like slowing down in life. Not saying that they're handicapped in any way, because I work in a bike shop and I see lots of like 80-year-old dudes like biking, but it's just like not something I'd want to put somebody in their retirement years into. You know what I mean? It's just like
right. Especially because there's going to be perspective shift, right? Like it's a duty rather than an aspiration.
And that was why shifting out, people who are in the House and the Senate, long-term positions that should not be kept. They should just be moving in and out. Yes, because as the people change,
who don't know what they're doing.
But we already have people who don't know what they're doing.
Right, exactly. This is and that's where like the presidential cabinet it becomes so important, because obviously a single person cannot be an expert in foreign policy and the interior and housing and urban development and education. That's why you have the cabinet positions.
Can you explain to people like me
as long as you
in the audience?
keep the cabinet, like as presidential picks, then you'd still get.
I feel like those should also be chosen by the AI then. Like, I don't think the president should choose the secretaries of the cabinets.
You would let AI hold a place in the government in that capacity?
Well, isn't that the whole concept we're talking about right now?
I think we're using the word AI to be the random selector. It's the thing that's spinning the numbers who decides to pull up and has no other function beyond that.
We could just use the wheel from Price is Right.
Yeah, essentially that's the idea.
It's big enough.
Like it's a mechanism that randomly selects numbers.
For a wheel. Oh, whoever gets closest to $1 gets to be a senator.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't even need to be AI. It could, like Kozbial said, it could be a wheel, it could be dice, it could be,
it could be a mechanism for the simplicity. It's just a mechanism that acts at random. There you go.
God forbid AI. I mean, I'm sorry. I sound like an old person, and I'm the youngest one here, but I'm afraid of the future. I don't like AI.
I'm not to distract on that. Yeah, it's definitely not the one that we currently have, as Cait pointed out at the very beginning. Like we definitely don't want that biased thing that exists now to be operating our government, because it's a bad idea.
Right.
It's pretty racist because a lot of people are racist. You know what I mean? Like it's homophobic because a lot of people are homophobic.
Learns from people.
Y'all don't want that running it. You need something.
Behavior.
Yeah, that's above that. But I'm sorry. Can you explain real quick?
Sidetrack, y'all.
Because I was curious, and I'm sure there's a lot of dumb people like me in the audience who might listen to this someday. So the president's cabinet, right? Who is in there? I mean, I obviously, he picks people to do that, but like, what's the role of that job?
What's the role of which cabinet?
I'm sorry.
All the positions?
Yeah, well, that's not. I was asking for more like an overview of like what the president's cabinet is. Like, what is to the
president?
Okay, cool. That's what I kind of thought it was, but I wasn't exactly positive.
The cabinet, the first cabinet was picked by George Washington, but the cabinet has grown from and I can't remember the exact numbers now, but that's from like 8 cabinet positions to like, I don't know how many we have now. 20 something?
I think it's like 12 or 16.
Oh, I thought
like
it was
that.
20 something. Hold on.
Really? Oh my God.
Someone fact check.
When I learned.
It's a huge kitchen.
Cabinet members.
And also,
it's a huge kitchen.
While she's looking that up, I'll just bring up this non sequitur as well, just as a wrestling fan. It really just kind of makes me giggle inside that someone who's
26.
received a Stone Cold Stunner on live TV in a wrestling ring is currently the Secretary of Education.
Right. It's so crazy.
Like we live in such a clown dimension right now.
Yeah,
like,
my guy. I just found that out. Recently too.
It is Idiocracy.
Yeah, we're there, right?
That movie was way too.
We're close.
How he must have been like looking the fourth curve as well, or cycle. He was like, "Yep, that's definitely what's about to happen."
The fourth turning.
The fourth turning. Jesus, I got all the titles wrong. It's the fourth sandwich, right?
The cabinet has 26 members,
and it was picked because it's every letter of the alphabet.
Part of it. 15 department heads, 10 cabinet level officials. And all of them require Senate confirmation.
Okay.
Except for 3 positions.
So your suggestion was
that because the last 3 presidents we've had have been septuagenarians. So it kind of makes sense that they need to go through multiple levels of approval to get anything done. But for some reason, Donald Trump's senile ass hasn't really had a problem with that.
Well,
anyway, this is not a political podcast.
Sure, but there's a lack of knowledge and respect that he has about politics. It's a TV show to him. It's reality TV.
Yeah, your dude got hit in the face with a chair, right? Like it's just. Yeah, he's playing a game. He likes the game.
We don't have to take it, we don't have to go there, but that's what it is to me. It's like he's just producing a television show, and the outcome doesn't affect him. He's rich. He lives behind walls,
and he's about to die soon. So That was not a threat. If anybody heard that as a threat, that was not a threat. No. I'm sorry for the record of this, the podcast, and the FBI agent who's listening. I was not saying that. I was just saying because he's old and it's probably going to happen. Not that I was planning anything at all ever.
You're not plotting.
Right. This is no 4-person plot right now. So
no, certainly not. No, okay. I love
the entity known as Constant Space will not be held liable for comments made herein, and therefore.
Thank you for having a co-producer on the show to make sure they don't get in legal trouble for that.
Yeah.
My bad, guys. My bad. So, Cait, but your suggestion was that cabinet should be randomly selected also, or what was your suggestion for him? Because obviously the president is not going to know.
It would be like the random selection for Secretary of Education would be out of educators. And the random section for selection for Department of the Interior would be out of people who have worked for the national parks.
Yeah, exactly.
You would try to find people that have at least been in the industry.
Right.
Yeah,
Department of Transportation is somebody who drove a car.
30 years, they deserve that kind of position. Absolutely. Because there's people out there like that. There's people out there who love nothing more than the particular national park that they work in, and they're like, "Fuck it, I would die for this fucking park." There's got to be at least one guy out there like that. There are at least several guys like that. But that's what I'm
probably
saying.
one per park, if not more.
Who would give more of a shit and probably has enough of a soul in him and enough morals not to be bought out by. At least not the ungodly amount of money that some of these corporations would offer him. At least, hopefully, not.
Well,
at the end of the day, money talks, and it talks a filthy language.
That's the whole thing with this slutty language. You're trying to take the money out. Because being elected is so expensive. Running for office is so expensive.
Exactly.
My kids, my students will joke. They'll be like, "Miss Leo, you should run for president." And I'm just like, "Well, I'm not a millionaire, so no." And
you're already out.
Yeah. You have to have
I simply don't know enough wealthy people, my love.
I simply don't. That is what it is, and so yeah. But if everyone's random selected, I like this fantasy world that we're building. Where people who care about the thing are actually running the thing.
Those are the ones who should be involved. That's kind of the idea, yeah.
It's not even about being an expert on day one. It's about being willing to learn to do it, which is why you have long-standing government positions or people who have been a part of these departments for much longer than the chairs or the heads of those departments. But they all got fired by Doge, so.
Extra. You don't need oversight.
Now we have no experts.
And that's kind of the idea because, anybody who is in politics, the only expertise, not the only expertise, but a lot of their expertise is politics, which is not really the common thing that most people need. And that's where the idea spread from.
Theater. Politics is just theater. It's all the world is politics.
Sure.
Any industry that you're in that you're trying to climb into, it's politics. But I don't know.
Especially in wars, there's always a different theater.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
Oh, right.
The theater kids always ask me that. How did that name? How did the Pacific Theater? Why do they call it theater? It's because it's the action. They're like, it's that simple? I'm like, yes.
Yes. That's why a war theater is a war theater. Yes.
A war theater. It's where the action is happening. Yes.
Correct.
And now it's springtime for Hitler and Germany.
Dude, the invasion of Poland, the musical. I'm not gonna do that. That's terrible. Unfortunately, I can't redact live statements, but you know what? It is what it is. But from a political standpoint.
There's a motorcycle driving by now.
Oh, so politicians, as part of the debate, you meet, and then y'all do 45 seconds hand to hand, bare knuckle, just, and then you go back to the debate.
Well, if they want to have a dick measuring contest, I'm gonna get in trouble for what I'm saying. That's really boggled my mind. 2016 election when Marco Rubio and Trump and all those dudes were up there talking about how big their penises.
That was
oh, so wrong. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Shout out to LBJ for having to get custom made pants.
I do not tell the students.
No.
Dude, he used to threaten to fuck senators.
He used to whip it out and it was like
and their wives,
on the table. He would just like bud his penis on the table.
And Nixon was always a freaky dick.
I never heard that. I heard about the threats, but he would just drop hog like on the table.
There's a recording of him on the phone with someone where you just hear his penis slap the table. Like he's like basically threatening.
Oh my god.
I need to find it.
These are the fun facts of history. Jesus.
This exists in the Library of Congress somewhere, dude.
You know they saved it. Yeah, they're like, you know what I heard? Yeah.
We need to find this. Yeah, this is in the National Archives.
So actually, you know where it came from is it was actually from a spy recorder that was set up in the room. And so they had to do a counter spy operation to get that tape back so that they could save it forever. That was that. I mean, headcanon. I don't think that's true history. You can't trust me for true history facts. But headcanon. That's what happened. It was like in a potted plant or something.
My favorite headcanon is that JFK's head just did that. That was just something his head could do.
Some heads just, know how to explode.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He had never tried the power before, but he wanted to impress everybody in Texas that day. And so he was just like, you know what? Today's the day to try it out. And he was just like, blam.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, if you want a conspiracy, I mean, we got conspiracies. Like, are you ready?
Really thought, you know what? If I was going to die in this moment, I'd be happy.
Right.
And then he had a superpower that made it happen, and his head just did that.
It was a latent superpower.
No,
like, if he was anything good, he would have been recruited by the X-Men, but it was a one-time shot, and that's all he got.
Oh, my God.
I mean, there was also multiple bullets, but his head just did that.
Well, okay, what you don't understand about that situation is that when his head exploded, it was a shrapnel of bullets. Like, that was what the power was, really, that's where the other bullets came from. They came from inside JFK. That's the power that he was born with. He created bullets by himself.
Mindbullets.
Mindbullets.
That's telekinesis style.
Dude, he was so powerful.
He just knocked himself off the podcast.
Oh, there it is.
How powerful he was.
Oh, goodness.
Aaron Kozbial just named the episode. Of course, this one is with Cait Leow. It is Mindbullets. And so here we are on the best conspiracy theories on the internet tonight. So that's what we got.
I would gander to say the best conspiracy theory on the internet tonight.
I think, if you're going to believe anything, that's the top conspiracy right there that I want to believe.
Yeah.
So thank you for actually weird because you said it was a headcanon, and it turns out that JFK actually had a headcanon.
That was the joke.
What?
It was a one-liner.
Oh, geez, bro. Oh, that was so subtle. Oh, you see why he's our joke man.
So it's like, headcanon.
Oh, wow.
It was a one-off bit, but then y'all ran with it, so I was like, okay, fine.
Okay, guys, comment below if you got that joke before I did, because I'm dumb, real dumb. But Logan, that was awesome. What a great joke. Oh, fucking awesome.
Thank you.
The one power. He has a head cannon. All right.
Because I said head twice, and
no.
The head cannon is that his head just did that, and I was honestly surprised that didn't catch, but
it did. It just took forever, and the bit had to get really good. So that was awesome.
Yeah, like it carried on to a point where I felt like Cait got uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. We were gassing the JFK assassination, so lives were lost. That's not the joke that he died.
We're sitting here mocking the assassination of a president.
We included it in a joke. I don't think I was making fun of JFK dying, but I apologize if that is. I'm sorry. That probably sounded exactly like that. Actually, let me segue back to the UK because this brought up a thought in my head. Because you're dealing with a lot of kids who are running into conspiracy theories right now. You must be because it's rife through America. So how are you dealing with that?
How does that pan out in the classroom?
Well,
I mean, you must be
actually
concerned,
don't
right?
know a lot about anything, though.
I
Like,
know,
I got
right?
them
Because some of the
interested in-
conspiracies are true.
Well, I think conspiracy theorists are like, you're kind of into conspiracies in high school, and then it either goes away or it develops crazy, and you just
Facts.
become one of those people.
Right.
But like, I wouldn't say that the kids are that conspiratorial. If anything, they're really trying to they crave truth
Huh.
and stability at this point. They've lived in this really unstable world as children.
You can't believe anything you see or hear is the world they're growing up in.
Right. And so that's what I run into, is that I tell them, this is a reliable source. We're analyzing this newspaper article from 1883. And all of them write, it's unreliable because It's like, no, we're not talking about reliability. I wanted you to talk about whatever else I wanted them to talk about, right? Like whatever the activity is. I'm like, no. I wanted you to talk about the corroboration of sources or something like that. But they all are just like so hung up on, well, how do we know this is true? And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm telling you it's true just for the sake of the exercise.
But also they can't trust
that if it's like a major historical event that they're researching, like there's multiple books and things and accounts, and like I remember I wrote an autobiography about Jimi Hendrix. No,
Did you?
I wrote a biography about Jimi Hendrix for an 8th grade like English project. And it picked, like at the end of it, it was like 800 words. I'd cited like 3 or 4 books, a bunch of websites that I'd found online, and my teacher gave me a C because it ended up being like 8 pages. But I was like, how do you do it in less than that? Jimi Hendrix is,
she gave you a bad grade because it was too long?
Yes.
Right?
I was pissed.
Yeah, shame on you for learning.
That was also when I knew that I was a good writer too. Like no matter what you give me, if you give me an assignment, I'll fucking write it.
Yeah. Hey, that's a dream for me. I can't get them to write anything. I can barely get them to write a complete sentence, and not all of them. It's not that there's no hope, but I'm like, I literally go, I will take points off if you don't repeat the question and the answer. And I know you all think I'm crazy for telling you to do this, but I just want you to practice writing, because none of you write complete sentences ever. So you have to do it for me. And they don't do it. And they get like a third taken off of their paper. And they're like, why did you give me a bad grade on this? I'm like, because you didn't repeat the question. You don't know what you're talking. And then you don't even actually answer the question. Because you didn't repeat the question in your answer, you're answering something.
One of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten for writing, as far as answering a question or like essay writing or anything like that, writing about a topic or answering a question. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten, and I don't know if you've ever said this to your students, but one of my teachers said this to me. They said, write as if your reader is an idiot.
Yes.
Write as if
I don't know what you're talking about.
Write as if your reader has no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And that will force you to sit there and expand and make your point. You know?
Exactly.
So
you have to explain it to me. Yeah, I know you're talking about whatever, industrialization, but you need to define that, because you have to assume that I have no idea.
Right. You have to assume that I have no idea what industrialization means, because I have to make sure that I taught this to you. So
right, exactly. You need to prove to me that you know what it is. And they struggle with that.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to burp on the chat.
I do also remember having to cite both, not just online sources, but like sources from books.
Reading books. Yeah.
Like, and luckily my parents had, encyclopedia, the World Book.
Nice,
so
perfect.
So I could just go to that and use that as, because it's like, oh yeah, these came out before AI changed the internet forever.
We also have libraries.
Hundreds of dollars for an encyclopedia is a flex.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
But back when they were making us do like online sourcing and book sourcing, they had books in schools. They had libraries in schools. Schools don't have libraries anymore. They have like digital centers. And
wow.
No. Almost no schools have books and libraries anymore. They have like a room filled with computers, like a computer lab for the kids to use.
No.
Like mommy doesn't have a library anymore.
What?
TSA doesn't have a library.
Dude,
I know you're breaking the hearts of like everybody over 25 right now.
Well,
it's like I can't believe it.
I have friends that into library sciences because they wanted to be school librarians, and that job like basically doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, right. Heartbreaking. Oh man, go to the Library of Congress and enjoy your time there or something, right?
Well, I always try to go to the library because I have so many books in my class. I'm like, oh my god, books are so important to books.
Yeah,
they're changing the internet all the time.
But you can rely on. That's one of like the last pieces of physical media because I mean, think about it: music, video games, news. You know, it's just like we talked about earlier. You can't newspaper. So exist anymore.
People always pay for newspapers.
DVDs. None of this exists anymore. Physical media, you know, essentially what they're trying to do is try to make you buy a license to view or to use their intellectual property because they can revoke that at any time. Look at what Nintendo's doing with the Switch 2.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Get me started. I don't have enough money to buy.
I didn't mean to derail the conversation, but it's one of the things that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have a good library system in Ohio, at least in Lucas County.
Yes, we do.
Our growing up, it was the best.
I mean, dude, even in St. Tammany Parish, where I did a lot of my schooling, at least past 4th grade, there was multiple public libraries that I relied on and went to. Like, dude, there was one in the teeny tiny mapped out town of Pearl River, Louisiana. St. Tammany had a public library. The parish set up a public library in Pearl River. And dude, I went and used that for their encyclopedia, like I said, to references and stuff, you know, just like you said, because, you know, I graduated in 2014. I graduated high school. So, you know, like I still came up in the time where like, oh, you know, you won't have a calculator in your pocket. Your teacher, you know, your teachers in college are going to make you write cursive and all that. I grew up in that time. Like I said, I was born in 1996. So I grew up in a weird time where like I kind of came up with the internet. I aged as the internet did. So I got to experience all the crazy wild lands that the internet was for a minute, where you could just go and get, and anyway.
You can go and get anyway.
Right. That's a different conversation. But like, but it's just to say, like, even the tiniest little mapped out towns had fucking libraries.
Yeah.
And like, what's gonna happen now that public funding has been cut to a lot of this stuff?
It means poor people will stay ignorant and uneducated so that they're easier to control by rich people.
It's exactly the agenda. Yeah, like that's not even a conspiracy. That's an obvious fact that's happened yesterday. So
right.
Yeah.
I like to explain Trump's presidency is that we are a representative government and he represents the stupid people.
Well, essentially, right? That's basically what we made ourselves into.
The manipulatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
He represents people who are willing to believe money is truth.
That
I honestly feel like
it up as base. Yeah, you're right.
That they can be millionaires than is actually realistic. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I worded that right.
No, it's the idea of they're temporarily
they're really close to being a millionaire when honestly they're much closer to homelessness.
Yes, everyone's like one medical problem away from homelessness.
Right, you know, one car problem, you know,
right, yeah, no, seriously, yeah,
one missed house note, you know, like away from poverty and homelessness in its entirety, you know, like it's serious out here for like what 60 or 80% of Americans currently.
Yeah, and it's intentionally designed. If you don't have that threat, the people at the top believe that you won't go to work. They can't force you to go to work if you don't have it.
Ever since America has industrialized,
industrialized, it's about getting the amount of people here that we need to feed the industrial machine. So that's why immigration has gone from being something that's encouraged to discouraged to encouraged to discouraged to encouraged to discouraged. It depends on our economy, basically.
Right.
And we're in a free fall economy right now, so we're discouraging and not wanting more people to come here to preserve the industrial might that we have, or whatever. Fuck, it's just it's just it just happens over and over and over
just
again.
A cycle.
And when you learn history, you're like, okay, cool, we're just doing it again. Great. But that also means that we'll get out of it again.
Right.
Like, I feel like a lot of people have a very bleak feeling about what's going on right now, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, we've overcome authoritarianism before. It's gonna suck, but we've done it.
So
we had a Gilded Age.
Yeah. On your estimated timeline, how long do you think it takes to get? How long does it take to get through the tough part, so to speak?
5 years.
How many?
So start getting good to getting to die.
Once we retire, it'll be good.
All right. Okay.
Making a pass. To be honest.
What?
Why? There's so much life after that, bro.
I don't take care of myself. I drink. I
Not
smoke.
Yet.
I'm of course I'm not. I've OD'd 3 or 4 times. I'm here.
Yeah.
So
you're here, so might as well.
I
don't take care of yourself.
Yeah, you're gonna surprise us all.
Live a whole lot longer, but also yes, you're right. I do need to take care of myself, and I've noticed that after just sitting at the house for a month, dude. I don't even think I could pick myself up off the floor anymore.
You have kittens, sir.
Yeah, exactly. You have kittens to look after. So just
I'm not talking about dying, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying.
I mean, come on.
Take care of yourself.
Right.
I'm not over here having Asians. Just letting y'all know, I've been through some shit. And my body is a little broken. And because I let it sit for a month and didn't really do nothing, I'm not out here getting underneath washing machines or pulling refrigerators or lifting heavy shit or using my brain very much. Dude, it's rough.
Well, start
you use
tomorrow.
Your brain on
you have a full history in front of you, bro.
You've got tons of time.
So much time.
And we're using our brain all the time with Cox in Space.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You never know.
Like I said, and like I said, I didn't mean to make this about me, but just saying. It's fucking been rough, dude. I broke my wrist.
Yeah.
So it sucked. But
listen, it's just a cycle, man, apparently. So you're gonna cycle back out of it and it'll be great. It's only gonna take you 20 years.
Everything will be okay.
It's gonna be okay. Hey, so
I'm watching through
sorry.
Fallout right now for the first time, which is really interesting.
Watching or playing?
The show of the video game?
Watching. Okay. I've never gotten to play it.
Fallout?
Okay.
The show.
What
There's a show on Amazon.
TV show?
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think of it as a person who's never played the video games?
Yeah, so it makes me want to play the video games.
Fun? Okay, cool.
And
they are fun.
A bunch of my students, yeah, I know. A bunch of my students are like, you need to watch the show. Like when I teach about the Cold War, they're like, you need to watch I was like, I should play the game first. And they're like, no, just watch the show. Get them off my back. I really like it. I think it's really interesting. Nuclear war is very scary, so
yeah.
It's super fucked up.
I think there's a character in Fallout 3, there's hyper Christian, but also he says really profound shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't remember what his name. It's Josh.
Christians can be profound occasionally.
Both. There can be both. But
he says crazy shit. Because he's I survived because the fire within me burned hotter than the fire. That was
bro, you're talking about Adam, who they worship the atom bomb.
No, I'm pretty sure his name is Josh. He's all covered in bandages, and he's a hardcore fucker. But like I said, if you just sit there and talk to him and exhaust all his dialogues, he'll say a lot of profound shit.
All right, nice. Hey guys, so we are coming up to the top of the hour, which was intended to be just a 20-minute chat to kick around before our musician showed up. But I guess he's not showing up. So We are planning to go for like another half hour or so.
Great.
Just so you guys are welcome.
We can definitely
We generally do. I'm
because,
see if he's going to show up. I was hoping to have some music tonight. Because I know, Cait, that you like music. You enjoy musicking.
I am a musician. I could play something. I could play music if you wanted music tonight.
Fun. That wasn't the thought, but I mean, I would be down if you'd be down. So
like if your heart is broken, I can deliver.
It is a little bit. In preparing for this show, I've become a huge fan. So I am, just like if you were willing to play with for us, I would love to hear a song. Do you have your ukulele, or is it you've switched over to something else?
I have a uke. I have a uke. I play guitar. I play a violin, as we all previously discussed.
Yeah. Which is your favorite?
I'm gonna grab the ukulele because it's the closest to me.
Is that your favorite instrument?
And it's probably the most in tune. I would say once I started playing the ukulele, everything fell to like songwriting got a lot easier for me. Just like everything fell together. It was like a missing piece to my puzzle. Nice. But it's like ukulele's not taken seriously. So I mean, which is
I know you don't want to play favorites between all your instruments. Yeah, I'm sure you love all your instruments equally.
Ukulele is my favorite.
Oh, don't listen, guitar. Cover your hole, whatever your hole's called.
My favorite.
Cover your sound hole.
Cover your sound hole.
My favorite instrument is my violin that I grew up playing, obviously. Okay. And if there was a fire in my house, that's what I would say first. Nice. But the ukulele is a strong second.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah, I'm gonna tune while you ask.
Logan.
So, like, because you said you grew up playing violin.
Mm-hmm.
So fundamentally, I understand that there is a difference between playing violin and playing fiddle, right?
Oh, that's a stylistic choice. People ask me this.
Right. So just to clarify, it's not a difference in instrument because I've had people argue with me about this.
Right, Steve.
People.
I've had people be
like,
fiddle has one less string.
No,
you know. No. Yeah, I'm gonna be like bullshit.
It's like true, like those like bluegrass, like Appalachian fiddle players, like their violins are usually, they're not made different, but they won't have like a chin rest because they just settle the violin on their shoulder instead of under their jaw. So it's like it's a style. It's just a different style of playing.
Okay.
Yes. So that settles that debate. You can tell them an expert told you.
Right. And
I mean, hey, it's here for everyone to hear.
Yeah, just drive more views to this video. Be like, look, I'm gonna tag it as one of the bookmarked ones. We'll clear it up.
Yeah. If you had the violin versus fiddle question, it is answered by a violin player right here on one of the Cox and Space podcasts.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure fiddle players, because I loved fiddling when I was in high school, and I like reenacted at Fort Meigs and stuff and would fiddle there.
Oh, fun.
And like I used the same violin to fiddle that I used in orchestra class.
Can you fiddle right now?
My fiddling skills have not been honed in many long time. I do play in like an Irish trad band sometimes.
That's fun.
And I play like violin for them, but I don't really like. I'm not as good as I used to be. I'm like a little self-conscious about it. And I'm not being
and I don't want to be an asshole, like put you on the spot, like come on, you know, I'm not going to do that.
Fiddle out. I could play like, like the Ride of the Rohirrim from Lord of the Rings, but like, I can.
That's awesome.
It's pretty funny. She's like, get the fiddle out.
Oh my
As if the fiddle was a different instrument. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
No, it is wild how.
But it isn't.
Yeah, if you don't use those skills, they go away. It's like you don't realize.
Well, violin and like a lot of those orchestral instruments are very precise. You have to be really precise to get the right sound out of them.
Sure.
Yeah,
and so I can play long, slow notes. But as far as like fiddling, like being able to synchronize the bow movement with your fingers is like something you have to work on.
Gotcha. You talk about the technicality, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Guitar work is the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. There's frets on the guitar, so they're not exactly the same. Of course, the violin is more precise.
I've played guitar since I was about 14, like not exactly seriously, you know, like more of a hobby. And nowadays,
super good
you know, more of a rarity than anything. But muscle memory is a hell of a thing.
Yeah, it's just you still remember how to do it, but your muscles don't respond quite in the same way when you're not practicing.
Right. And it's like, I'm not talking about even like the positioning of your fingers. It's more about this, that like when you're strumming a guitar, if you're doing like a little finger pick, you're like you're doing some sort of guitar solo, that you will lose. Like that, you have to like get back
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And callus.
And and then the calluses, those definitely fade
that
quickly.
Also, yes.
Like I could probably pick up a bass, but like it would hurt my finger.
Yes. I always notice that when I haven't played guitar in a long time, my fingers, they just hurt so much. But like ukulele is my strings
gone, and I'm pissed. But I haven't had a playable guitar in a month. I tried to rebuild the Fender that my buddy got me because I took it apart. Because what started as a simple string change ended up with me getting a string stuck in the whammy bridge, so I had to take apart the entire whammy bridge to get to it. Oh, dude, it was rough. The guitar stayed apart for about 8 months. And one night I got a wild hair up my ass, and I put it back together. And I had been drinking. So I didn't intonate that bridge or anything. That guitar sounds like shit, and I'm pissed off about it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's literally
I might have to either take it to someone. Sorry. But I mean, you know, I think it was like a $200 guitar that my buddy had rebuilt for me. But what's cool is it's a black on black Fender, like your boy from Pink Floyd. Oh fuck me for not remembering his name, because he's one of my favorite guitarists.
Your boy?
His name was Floyd.
Obviously, Mr. Floyd. Yeah, his first name was
Mr.
Pink.
Floyd.
I can't believe you don't remember Mr. Floyd.
It wasn't Roger Waters. It was
the linchpin. He's the linchpin.
Gilmore. I don't remember. David Gilmore.
Or Dr. T.
David Gilmore, yeah.
David Gilmore, yeah. One of my favorite guitarists of all time. David Gilmore, Jack White, and maybe Angus Young.
Jimi Hendrix? I was like, you wrote
you wrote a whole paper. Yeah.
I did. And
nice
don't get
callback.
me wrong. Like I said, I like, but just for me, like, because my top 3 of all time, and the reason it is because they did so much with so little. You know, look at Angus Young. Did he ever really, you know, do anything virtuosic or do like a bunch of crazy, you know, stuff like Van Halen or the guy from the Scorpions? I don't remember his name.
That's all right.
But Angus Young did a lot with a little.
Yeah.
That's right. That would make him great.
Exactly.
So Cait, what do you want to play?
That's pretty cool.
I'm sorry, Aaron. I should have paused for the joke. I knew you were sitting on it. I should have waited. So Cait, what do you want to play for us? What's your best or favorite song?
My favorite song that I've written is called Heartbreaker, I think.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear?
This is an original song?
It is.
This is an original song that I wrote for a guy I started seeing right after an ex to warn him about me.
Okay.
It was a warning.
So wait, were you the red flag or was he?
Let the song tell you, I guess. Yeah. I think I'm the red flag. Can you hear
Let us scroll down this road.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Go. It sounds good? Okay.
Yeah.
I had a guy, he played cello. He was my guy, soft and mellow, but I'm a heartbreaker. I can't break free from breaking all these hearts. I went away, I started my school. Then I met some curly hair who made me a fool. But I'm a heartbreaker. I can't break free from breaking all these
heights. I don't know where I lost my way, the right road I didn't choose. I know I have to find my way. I'm tired of causing all these blues. I'll travel near, I'll travel far. It doesn't matter where we two are, 'cause I'm a heartbreaker, heartbreaker. I can't break free from breaking all these hearts. I don't know where I lost my way, the right road I didn't choose. I know I have to find my way. I'm tired of causing all these blues. Well, that's the story. You ought to know I'm a heartbreaker who loves you so. Yes, I'm a heartbreaker, heartbreaker. I can't break free from breaking all these. Yes, I'm a heartbreaker, heartbreaker. I can't break free from breaking all these hearts. Please break me free from breaking all these hearts. I don't want yours to be my next broken heart.
Ah, bravo.
Bravo.
Yeah, good.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
fantastic. Guys, if you're listening at home, that's Cait Leow Music on all the socials, from what I understand. You can check her
Yes,
out.
pretty much
Uh,
everything.
you can check,
CAIT.
thank you. Yes, DAIT. Leo spelled with a W.
Not how one Leo with a W. Nobody's. That's not how you spell Kate or Leo at all.
Not at all.
But
Really, yeah. We have to spell out Cox in space too, because you go to another site if you don't.
yep. Oh, yes, I'm sure you do.
So yeah, coxinspace.com. If you want to check that out. And then I'm also going to put all her link in the description, so you can see the spelling and just click on it if you need to. So
Beautiful.
that is
Thanks.
fantastic. No, we're super glad to have you. Thank you for sharing that song. That was
Oh my God,
great.
of course.
I've heard that recording multiple times, but for some reason live just made it like awesome. So definitely.
It's always a little bit different when you play it live. I think that's the weird thing about recording music and then putting it out is like, oh, well, if you come to see it though, it's going to be a little bit different.
It's always, I mean, right. As musicians, we know that it's always a little bit different.
Live performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's why live performance is so great.
Yeah, exactly. Recordings are just kind of like to sell you on the idea of it. So you can come enjoy the actual party that happens at a show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But there's always the fact of just being in a place where other people are and the vibrations of their actions. Like singing, of course, is strictly a vibration, right, that we make with our bodies. And then that like moves people, right? Like it like bounces off their vibrating skin and organs and whatnot. And way better than
ears,
a recording.
right? Yeah, and it's like your brain chemistry changes. Music. I mean, I was raised very conservative Christian, and the music was my favorite part because I was like, that's where I felt really alive and I really believed it. Because I was like, well, this music makes me feel so good. It's like the science of music. It wasn't the Holy Spirit.
You realize it was music. Well, right. It's stone formation.
How great thou art.
How great thou art.
You're like, yes, praise God.
I always wanted
Jesus.
that song to end. Favorite. How great thou art, how great thou be, because that would rhyme.
Dang.
Oh my God.
That Yeah, you finally close the loop. You can't just keep singing it forever. Yeah,
that's a good one. Whenever I get excited about something, I do sing the doxology. I'm always like, praise God from whom all blessings flow.
Praise Holy Spirit here below.
That's right. Praise him above ye heavenly host.
Then everyone sings, praise Father, Son, and Holy
Ghost.
Holy Ghost.
Got the most.
Amen.
Yeah. No, right? Because it is good to remember.
You were in select choir, weren't you?
I was.
Okay.
I was.
Right.
I was. That was like one of my favorite things I ever did was be in select choir.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I was.
James, my younger brother, one of my younger brothers did it, but I did not do it.
Yeah.
Were you actually selected for select choir? Is that what the
you
name?
Auditioned. It was audition, and
wow.
my brother James only auditioned because he thought I was also auditioning, but I was too busy. Like I was in Toledo Youth Orchestra and doing all this other stuff and theater and blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm not doing select choir too. But he got in, so it was fine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Tenor, I guess. What is he?
James was a baritone.
Was he? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know how they'd grow up. Because you know, I knew them when they were little tiny kids. So I was like, are they gonna grow up to be? In this life, one thing counts. In the bank, large amounts.
Hey, so
Fagin knew.
Yeah, I forgot Aaron was Fagin, which is a good. I mean, I think that'd be a really good Fagin.
Perfect role for him.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's because I'm a bass baritone, and only villains get to be that vocal range.
Well, and
usually,
what's funny is because one of my brother's names is Aaron, and so whenever we referred to Aaron Kozbial in our house, we always said Aaron Kozbial. So you are a first and last namer in the Leo household. Just so you know.
The Aaron Kozbial.
You're like a celebrity.
Yeah.
Well, I had special like handshakes with your brothers that we stole from the Geico commercial.
The squirrel commercial. Yes, yes, they still do that with each other all the time.
That's awesome, dude.
And they are 32 now.
Oh my God.
Still doing the same secret handshake. So, Aaron, would you say that that one's your favorite musical?
That I did.
That you've performed?
Yes, because I also kind of stole that part. So
really,
yeah, you stole the show with that for sure.
Oh, gotcha.
No,
the show.
There was another guy who was cast as Fagin.
And you pulled a Fagin on him?
The director realized that she didn't have an understudy for him. So I overheard her say that, and I walked past her, knowing that she would look at me and like, oh, Aaron could be the understudy. And then I got to be the understudy and did so well that I stole half the shows.
Yes.
Fun.
They were great.
That's awesome.
Well deserved.
Hey, what's your favorite musical?
Moments.
What's my favorite musical?
Yeah, what's your favorite music that you've done? What's your favorite musical you've done?
That I've done? A couple years ago, I got to be Roxy in Chicago.
Oh,
that was
I did see photos
of that. That was a dream,
okay.
like 20 years in the making for me. Like to be able to be Roxy in Chicago. I was so excited.
Super fun. Okay, that's
the name on everybody's lips is going to be Roxy.
That's right. I love that, and that role is just so unhinged. Like she's so nuts. It was so fun.
So you get to do that and sing at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah,
you get to be unhinged.
Nuts. Yeah, Roxy's fucking nuts. Yeah, I've always wanted to do Mr. Cellophane. Mainly because of John C. Reilly's performance in that movie. But just it's fantastic. Yeah. What a great song. It's fun to sing.
And it's such a good song, A, and then B, like John
he's
C.
doing
Reilly,
the soft shoe. He's doing the fucking soft shoe, man. Like he's good at it. Yeah. You're just like, yeah, I buy into everything you're doing right now, man. So that is fun. Logan, I don't know if you've been in a musical, but do you have a favorite musical?
I've not been in a musical. I was the only creative in my family. As much as I was pushed toward athletics, I was an academic and I did drugs in high school.
Okay.
So, that being said, I did have a couple of people who were associated with musical theater. I've seen Seussical.
Okay.
I think I've seen Anything Goes. So I think that's
Nice.
like really the only thing that I could say that that I enjoy or not enjoy. But I will say I enjoyed Anything Goes. It was fun.
Okay.
It's a classic.
It's a classic.
Right.
That is fun. Good theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, personally, like I said, I was a writer. I wasn't very, I didn't get pushed into theater. My family was trying to push me into sports, and I was like, no, I want to learn things and do drugs and learn things about the drugs that I do.
That's a fun
of course, when I went to
combination.
college, I majored in chemistry.
To learn
Smart.
drugs. Yeah, of course.
But, that didn't happen, and now I work on appliances.
All right.
And Cox in Space.
And Cox in
which
Space.
has musical
And Cox in Space.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We're
So
actually
this I can spread happiness in one way, if not both ways.
right.
If I can come and fix your machine for Company Redacted. Because I'm not going to say that shit on here.
Right. But and then also spread happiness because people's washers work. Yeah, we're actually I'm really excited because we're finishing episode 2 in this upcoming week. So
Great.
we're gonna get the Dog Pirate episode done, and then the episode after that for Cox in Space is maybe a full musical.
A full musical.
Because of Aaron Kozbial. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But because it hasn't been made yet. But the goal is a full musical episode for that. Because of course it's fun, right? It's a fun bit. And there's justifiable reasons, of course, too. Sweet. So
I love how I do love how adult animation has veered towards music, like Bob's Burgers or Big Mouth, or they all have funny songs in them. I was like, how do I get that job to write the funny songs for Bob's Burgers?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want to talk like even like basic like Family Guy, they have musical numbers in it all the time.
Right.
For no reason. They're completely gratuitous, but they're like, no, we're doing this. So
I mean, musical comedy has been around forever, but I just feel like in cartoons, especially adult cartoons, Archer's the only one. Did Archer ever do I don't think Archer had a musical episode.
No, I watched every episode of Archer.
So have I. Many times over.
Yeah.
I love Archer. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was great. But then I mean, speaking of Family Guy, Seth Macfarlane, I think, either owns the rights or something with all of Frank Sinatra's music.
Does he?
Yeah, because he was friends. So Frank Sinatra Jr. was on Family Guy a lot, and Seth MacFarlane just has a phenomenal singing voice, and so I mean, he just put out an album of Frank Sinatra stuff. It's really good.
Is it really good?
Also, I need to look this up. Good. I would. I mean, I know he can sing, but I did not expect Frank Sinatra. Okay.
Right.
These are things I need to look into.
And another instance of him singing, he did carpool karaoke with Ariana Grande singing "To Suddenly See More."
Yes.
Yeah, it's very admirable.
Okay.
Is he standing beside? Yeah.
I need to check that out. What was I had a thought and now I can't.
Was it while he was talking about the Frank Sinatra musical?
Don't even know why I said I had a thought that I couldn't.
Seth MacFarlane. Did it occur at that time?
Musicals. Dang it! Nope, it's gone. It'll come back.
Yeah.
No, not
Frank Sinatra.
Last thing you were saying.
Maybe Frank Sinatra.
Let me ask you a question that's not related to that and see if it helps. So it's been about 5 years since you did a last Casual Friday, is that right? Or was it 6 years, something like that? It's been a while.
On my YouTube.
Yeah, on your YouTube, Casual Fridays.
It's been probably 4 or 5 years. I was doing them during COVID.
That's what I assumed that it was. Are you ever considering bringing that back for people?
I do. It's so teaching, learning to be a teacher, and then doing it for the first couple of years has been basically my focus because it's hard.
That'll take up a lot of time. Yeah, hands down.
Yes. And so I've written a couple songs here and there. I co-run songwriting club at school.
Right.
And The songwriting club is actually so magical. Like teenagers write amazing music.
I was just thinking how awesome that would be. Yeah,
feeling so many feelings. Like they feel everything all the time, and so like their music is just so great. Because they're really feeling it.
Right.
But so I'm so lucky to work where I work because I still get to be creative a lot, and but yes, I would like to get back into the YouTube. The only thing about YouTube now is that because I'm a teacher, like the kids will watch it.
Oh, facts. Yeah, you have to watch out
like
what
they
you
will
say and
watch
do.
it because they've come up to me, like they've been like, you haven't put up a video in like 4 or 5 years. I'm like, oh my god, why did you find my YouTube?
Oh no.
Well, then hey, that's how you get to go viral. Like your students find out, and then they put it on whatever knowledge they have of how things go viral.
They are keeping my Spotify alive. Like, they come in, they're like, I followed you on Spotify last night. I'm like, oh my god, thanks.
Oh my god.
I also listened to like everything you had on Spotify when you
Thank
when
you.
you told me.
Yes. Well,
like
I have
the Ohio song, Joy Bigger. Those are really good songs.
Leads me to the second question. Have you thought of the thing you were going to talk about with the Frank Sinatra, Seth Macfarlane thing? Okay. Well, we'll circle back to that. We might have to have you back on the show. You'd be like, write me real quick. Be like, oh, I thought of the thing. I'll be like, okay, how's, September? We'll get you in. Or whatever.
That's so funny.
But it'll be a fun callback if that's the case. But are you still singing with the Bristol Cones?
Bristol Cones is my friend Bruce's band.
Okay.
And he's based out of Indianapolis.
Fun. Okay.
And we all met. So I have a group of like songwriting friends that we're loosely called the Epilogue Collective, but I met them all at a thing called Sad Song Summer Camp in 2019.
I like the Epilogue Collective.
Okay.
And so this group of like 50-ish like folk singers all met at a camp with the Milk Carton Kids in 2019. And one of my favorite folk singers was one of the guest teachers. So I was like, oh my God, I have to go. And we all stayed in touch because of COVID. So like when COVID hit, we all started getting together on Zoom once a week to write songs and talk to each other. And it literally saved my life. And like all of us are really, really close now because we like trauma bonded.
It's a good time too. I have best friends from that time too. So I understand.
Yeah. Like internet friends too, because these people live all over the world. Like people from all over the place came to this songwriting camp, and Bruce is one of those people. He's actually is nearby. He's in Indianapolis, and we collab sometimes on stuff.
Okay.
So our most recent thing was "You've Got a Friend in Me," which turned out so cute.
It was, that is a cute collaboration for sure. So awesome. Yeah, I was just, I stumbled across that band in addition, and I was like, oh, y'all sound great together. In addition, so I've
been in a bunch of different bands over the years. My favorite was a band called Mad Bear that fell apart because the other singer broke up with the bassist, or the bassist broke up with her, really. And then she and I tried to do.
The bassist was in a relationship? What?
Well, the reason why I even was a part of that band is because the bassist was cheating on her with me, and that's how she and I became friends.
Oh, gotcha.
I didn't know he had a girlfriend. I had no idea. It was a whole mess. It was a mess.
Oh no!
But
so
men are dogs.
Is Mad Bear out somewhere? Is that something that I can find to listen to as well?
I feel like the Bandcamp has got to still be up. Like that's got to be out there.
Okay, well I am going to do somebody fact check right now.
Yeah, and my friend Molly wrote most of those songs, and she's an incredible songwriter. So her songs are so cool. But yeah, anyway, I've done a bunch of, like it's been many, many years I've been doing this stuff. So.
Right. Yeah, exactly. A lot of different side projects. This is actually this project. Yeah. The Cox in Space is kind of like, for me, a lot of like bringing together all the people I've met over different places into the same project. You're obviously the exception to that. Since I know I know you through Aaron. But it's just cool to see like all the skills come together. Yeah, so welcome to the Cox in Space universe. We're glad to have you hang around.
So excited to be here.
Yeah.
You read the first episode, so
yes, I reread it this afternoon. Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to quiz you on it, but
I was afraid. I didn't know what we were doing, so I wanted to make sure I am a Virgo. I tend to be very prepared.
You need to. It's a good thing to have at least one person who's prepared, who's coming to the meeting. Then you have something to go off of. We are going to be doing the second episode of a read through in probably next week. So I'll be reaching out if you're interested in getting together and doing that.
That'd be fun. Yes, that'd be
great. It's been so fun having you on the show. We're right about the time we got to wrap up. So if you guys like what you've heard, Cait Leow music on all the all the places you can find it. I'm going to leave that in the below. We're here with Logan Gifford, Cait Leow,
and I'm
playing
with the. Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh, is that what you're trying to end and I'm still talking?
You're okay. That's okay. That's how these endings go. And also, there's a big delay all the time. So you're playing with.
I'm playing with a band called The Last Drags on August 7th at the Village Idiot.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you. So way to be prepared. Absolutely on time with that as well. So if you can, check her out. Live music rocks because it's more fun than the recording is the conclusion we've come to on this podcast today.
May the Lord open.
All right. So I'm going to wrap us up, but we can, of course, hang out afterwards and nobody can hear what our private conversations are about. Ooh. Thank you again for coming, everyone.
Like when we go off the record, that's not even something Patreon can hear.
Yeah, there you go. You got to be in here with us at this time.
As Skipper's voice is going out, I guess I'll go ahead and just say it for everybody. My name is Logan Gifford. Thank y'all for tuning in. For Aaron Kozbial, Skipper Marazzi, and Mr. Cait Leow, we thank y'all so much for tuning in to this episode of the Cox and Space podcast. Make sure y'all follow the Patreon, subscribe, like any way y'all can. If y'all happen upon us on YouTube or Instagram, make sure y'all spread the word. If y'all like what y'all are seeing, also make sure that if you subscribe to the Patreon, you become an official producer of the Cox and Space. And if you send us some ideas or you send us some funnies, we might consider them as part of the bits as we write the show. Is there anything else that anybody else wanted to add?
Aaron, you got shows coming up?
I mean, this is a passion project, and it's going to spread happiness throughout the entire universe.
Throughout the universe. And you can't be mad about that. So
no one can be mad about that.
Of course, happiness across the universe. And then once again, just as a proponent of, just people making art, I will say that, about 98% of what Cox and Space and what we do as a team is not AI generated. This is all human voices. This is human animation. What you see is what you get with the Cox and Space team. So,
oh my God, I found Mad Bear. Okay, it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. All right, good night, guys.